Welcome back to the explainer. So let's just jump right into it. A green CI dashboard does not always mean your real user flow actually works. I know, it hurts to hear, but it's true. It's kind of this dangerous illusion we've all fallen for, especially if something like a Captcha is disabled, mocked out, or completely skipped when you're running your tests. Today, we're totally dismantling the false comfort of that perfectly passing test suite. Seriously, a test suite can look incredibly healthy, like flawlessly green, while your absolute riskiest, most critical workflow remains completely untested in the wild. And the crazy part? The problem usually isn't your application code at all. Nope, the problem is the verification layers surrounding that workflow. We call this the pipeline illusion. It goes a little something like this. The unit tests pass, the API tests pass, the mocked login flow passes, the checkout logic passes. The dashboard is just beautifully green, and then, bam! A real human user reaches the production flow, hits a wall, and literally cannot complete their task. Everything just grinds to a halt. So why does this happen? Well, usually a Captcha appears, or maybe the challenge just doesn't load right. Maybe a token gets rejected, or the staging setup behaves completely differently than production. If Captcha is disabled in your automated testing, your team is completely blind to the issue until a real frustrated user complains about it. Which brings us to a massive realization. Captcha testing is not just a QA task. It is absolutely a reliability decision. Think about it. If a Captcha sits inside your login, your signup, your checkout, password reset, lead capture, whatever it is, it's a core part of the user journey, period. And if it can block that journey, it 100% belongs in the reliability conversation. All right, let's get into Section 1, the testing strategy checklist, covering steps 1 through 4. Here's a super practical framework for us. Step 1, identify the workflow. You've got to know what process is actually being protected. Is it login, checkout? Start with the workflows that directly hit your revenue, trust, or compliance. Step 2 is classifying the risk. Step 3 is deciding the test level. And step 4, control run frequency. Look, do not run slow, expensive Captcha tests everywhere by default. Run them where they actually add value, like scheduled CI, release gates, or right before major launches. That way, your test suite stays useful without making every single build ridiculously slow. Let's zoom in on that risk classification for a second. Ask yourself right now, what actually happens if this workflow breaks in production? Does it block users? Does it delay revenue? Are you going to get a flood of support tickets? The higher the business risk, the more rigorous and realistic your testing strategy absolutely has to be. No exceptions. Moving to step 3, deciding the test level. The big takeaway here is that not every test needs a real Captcha. Please, use mocks for your unit tests. Use controlled stubs for integration tests if external verification isn't the main focus. But, and this is a big but, you must use real Captcha-enabled end-to-end tests for those critical flows where that verification layer actually makes or breaks the experience. Moving right along to Section 2, the testing strategy checklist, steps 5 through 8. Okay, step 5 is all about separating failure categories. Step 6, protect your secrets and environments. Obviously, API keys and CI secrets need to be locked down safely, no relying on somebody's undocumented personal credentials. Step 7 is monitoring cost and reliability. You want to track things like pass rates, failure reasons, and test durations, because the goal isn't just more tests, it's the right tests at the right time. And finally, step 8, define ownership. When a test fails, who's actually investigating? QA, engineering, product? You need a clear owner for triage and maintenance. To expand on step 5 a bit, a Captcha test should literally never just say failed. That tells you nothing. The team needs to know immediately if the issue is application logic, a staging config, provider delay, a timeout, or a missing secret. Having clear, specific failure categories is what makes your test results trustworthy and actually actionable. Let's pivot to Section 3, common mistakes and troubleshooting. All right, rapid fire. Here are 5 huge mistakes that just perpetuate that illusion of safety. Mistake 1, disabling Captcha everywhere in staging and just blindly assuming production is fine. Mistake 2, mocking Captcha in every single test and literally never testing the real verification path. Mistake 3, running real Captcha tests way too often without any cost control. Mistake 4, treating every failure like it's the exact same type of failure. And mistake 5, using automation without clear authorization. Remember, these workflows should only run in owned or contractually permitted environments.
So, what happens when things break? How do we fix these pipeline errors? Well, if token injection fails, go check your element ID or use a specific query selector. If your tests pass locally but fail in CI, you've probably got a browser mismatch, so go pin your Chrome version. If the Captcha isn't showing up in staging, double check your environment config. And hey, if you're timing out on a slow network, just bump that poll timeout up to 180 seconds. Simple, actionable fixes.
Now, you might be wondering, how much does running real Captcha tests actually cost? People always ask this. Well, here is a reality check. Each solve is literally just a few pennies. Running a 10-test suite every single day with real solves costs under $10 a month. That's it. Cost should absolutely not be your excuse for avoiding true reliability. Let's hit a really quick FAQ before we wrap. Should every test solve a real Captcha? Nope. Save the real ones for critical end-to-end flows. Can Captcha be mocked? Yes, absolutely. It's great for unit tests. The danger is only when you never test the real path anywhere. So what's the most important metric of all? It's workflow coverage. You need to know without a shadow of a doubt which high-value, Captcha-protected flows are tested realistically and which ones are flying blind. The whole point of this explainer comes down to this. A green dashboard is totally useless if the real verification path is never tested. So before you trust your test suite again, I want you to go ask yourself, which workflows actually include Captcha? Which ones are tested realistically? How often are we running those tests? Who owns the failures? And what does each failure actually mean? Once you can answer those, that is when Captcha testing transforms from a basic QA checkbox into a true bulletproof reliability strategy. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today.